How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome to the Ruffled Leaks channel. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a bunch of stuff that's been cropping up. For example, we might have a potential date for the actual release of the second DLC known as the Indigo Disc. Now, the Indigo Disc is going to be the second part DLC coming up for Scarlet and Violet. So if you already bought the first DLC, you will have access to the second part as well. But there is a big piece of news from the Pokemon Company. They're announcing the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet bundles, including the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero DLC, are slated for release on Friday, November 3rd, which is interesting because November 3rd is perfectly lining up kind of with the planned, if you look at when the actual DLC is supposed to release, it's supposed to release sometime in winter. Now, some people might not consider November winter, but I consider it pretty much a winter month or late fall, type of month, so to say. Again, it would be considered a fall month realistically, but I do think it's a decent amount of time for them to release the actual DLC as well, because it would make sense, right? It fits well in with what they've done before. I don't remember exactly when the bundle for, Sword and Shield, how that was released, and if that came out before or after the second DLC. Not really sure, but we can pretty much speculate, and there's a few people who also speculated, like Soul Silver here, who speculated, wait, is this what I think it means? The physical version of the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero bundled with the original version of Scarlet Violet will be for sale on the 3rd of November. Could the Indigo Disc be released not long after this then? Question mark. Also, this strongly suggests that there will be no DLC 3 after the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, for all those people who believed in that, lol. I mean, there's always still a chance, but the chance has always been very slim, which is very true. The chance of another DLC just pretty much evaporates with this tweet. It pretty much disappears, because now this is the definitive version, right? The same way as you kind of can look at the third versions like Platinum and stuff. This is basically them saying this is the definitive version of these games that you should get if you want to have the complete journey. So a lot of people are going to be spending a lot of money, okay? I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a lot of money to be spent to get both these versions. That's probably going to be it's going to be rough, man. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be rough. But this does add some interesting things, some wrenches into our speculations about this thing. So, first of all, when can we expect to see it? November, most likely then. The fact that this is coming out then makes total sense to fit together that the DLC should drop around the same time. Reason for this is so that when people pick this up, right? Because keep in mind, this is the definitive version. This is the completed bundle, right? Completed thing, the full package, right? The fact that it's releasing like that means that we should be expecting to also get the whole thing at once. It says here, a package that combines the Nintendo Switch software, Scarlet and Violet, and the paid additional content, Zero's Treasure, will be released on Friday, November 3rd, holiday. Even if you haven't visited Paldea region yet, please take this opportunity to adventure. This is the Japanese tweet specifically. Now, there is some more points to be made. Just to be clear, it's literally just like buying the original Scarlet and Violet games with the physical DLC expansion cards with it, lol. However, people, at least in Japan, that pre-ordered get all this fun merch too. I spy some new TERAPAGOS art in there, so you guys can see what it says in here. Basically, you just get the full DLC thing. You've got some merch stuff, so you got some things to do. I don't really know, something with the trainers. You got some patches up here, like a type chart for some reason, and some stickers and cards and keychains and stuff. So mostly stuff like that. I mean, yeah, you can even see the TERAPAGOS keychain up there. So it's just pre-order bonuses for people within Japan. There's also cool posters. Actually, those posters do look pretty sick. I'm not even gonna lie. The two posters up in the top left actually look pretty cool. But what does this actually mean, though? We should also point out that I forgot to mention that November 3rd is apparently some type of Japanese holiday, so there could be some importance there, as well as the Pokemon Annie Poke potentially starting its new Terapagos arc around this time. All speculation, but if they try to line all this up, November could be a good month for us. So I'm pretty sure we can expect it in November. Now, is it going to be releasing on November 3rd? No, not necessarily, but here's what basically is being said by Kurablitz. It seemed like Scarlet and Violet's physical bundle with the DLC will be released on Friday, November 3rd. That's a cultural festival day, which could potentially align with HZ0. So that's, New Horizon or Horizon, whatever it's called, the new anime series that doesn't feature Ash. The episode is the start of the actual Terapagos Shining arc. The Scarlet and Violet bundle was on November the 6th. Crown Tundra was out on October 23rd. So the bundle actually came out after the whole thing. So this would mean that we could expect it probably earlier or slightly after or around the same time. So pretty much end of October, beginning of November, we're getting this thing, okay? We're not going to be waiting until next year. I know a lot of people were going nuts thinking that we're going to be getting this DLC released in 2024, even though that was impossible because they still kept the winter schedule there. And also, this DLC is already done, okay? They finished this a long time ago. They're not working on Scarlet and Violet anymore. They're already working on whatever the next thing is for the next console. So just keep that in mind. This stuff was already done a long time ago, but it's just, again, worth bringing up. So that's all I really want to do with specifically that point. But let's talk about the actual DLC, right? So what do we know? What do we all know about the Indigo disc? Well, we're going to go through here, and this is actually on PokeOS. Shout out to them, by the way. Beautiful website, really well put together. But let's go through what we actually know. So we already finished the Teal Mask. You guys have already seen that. You've already played it. But now we're going to the Indigo disc. That's going to be taking us to the Blueberry Academy. The Blueberry Academy is specifically set in Unova. We know this based on what was told to us in the Teal Mask. We're specifically told that this place, it's set in Unova. That's the location of it. So we're going to be going there. In this place, we're going to be taking on the BB League, which is basically a new Elite Four. The people that are going to be in it are these guys right here. We got Crispin, Amaris, Drayton, and I forgot to say Lacey as well, right? So these four. We also have Cyrano, and Cyrano is actually the, professor. I think in the data mine, there was files for some sort of interaction and battle with him, possibly too. So that's going to be there too. Of course, Kieran's going to be returning, and we're going to be seeing like the whole journey of him. I would recommend watching my last two videos because I specifically talk about how we think that he's going to become the big bad villain of these games, right? How he's going to become the big bad guy and how he's going to be controlled specifically by this brand new Pokemon. Now, you guys may know this one, but we already been talking about this. This is Dokutaro. Now, Dokutaro is basically been confirmed in data mines. We pretty much have confirmation that it's in the data mines. And I'm going to be just zooming into the tweet over here for it. But yeah, some new words that haven't been, seen yet. Kodai Kame, we know that's ancient turtle, so that's for Terapagos. Kodai is ancient and Kame is turtle. And Dokutaro, poison Momotaro. So Doku is poison, and Taro likely comes from Momotaro. So this is the Pokemon. Again, I've spoken about this several times, so I'm not going to go too deep into it again. But it's in the data mine. It's that Pokemon top left right here, this giant ball thing. And we also have like a kind of a fan-made model up here as well, which kind of shows you what it looks like. And this is the thing that poisoned the loyal three that are the bad guys in Kitakami, right? It's the thing that poisoned all of them. And basically, we know all this information about it. We can go through it really quickly, which is in the data mine run by Matt in DLC Part 1. Numerous clues have been, been shown about the contents of DLC Part 2. And one of these is Dokutaro, which equals poison Momotaro. Now, Momotaro is the whole story about the Peach Boy. Well, guess what? If you actually look at the Ogre Legend, you can actually see a full image in the game file of this Pokemon as well. We can also find an identical plushie to this Pokemon. Look, this Pinky. You can see it right there on the actual Peachy's shop. And again, it's called Peachy's Store, which is another reference to Peaches, which is also related to Momotaro because he's literally the Peach Boy. Except this story is it's kind of an inverted way, where instead of Momotaro, bringing these three animals with him and making them good, he's making them evil and bad. It's like a inverse of that. He's also here, Ku has anticipated this a long time ago and seems to have confirmed it again. So here, pretty much, he just put out a tweet, and if you don't know who Ku is, Riddler Ku, he's a legitimate leaker, legitimate actual, leaker guy. He has legit info, and he basically confirmed it as well, just saying Peach, which pretty much confirms that yes, this is the Peach Pokemon, which we've been rumored for years now. Could this be the Peach Pokemon talked about in the past? Most likely. Here is some awesome work from Cardinal, who put together some awesome artworks of what this could look like. And again, we have all these things that come together to make this image of what we've got in front of us. We have a Pokemon called Dokutaro. It's based on the story of Momotaro. I'm gonna have to move my camera here so you guys can see this real quick. We have the proof that it's based on the story of Momotaro, which is this Peach Boy, which is a Japanese folklore. There's just everything is pointing to this, which leads us back again to the characters. So we know that Kieran is most likely going to be controlled by this Pokemon since it is a poison type, and there is files in the games which literally refer to zombie people, which means people that might be controlled by something. Because really, there are also zombies that aren't really just undead, but they're also controlled by parasites. Think like The Last of Us. There it's parasites, which exist in our real world, with ants being controlled by certain parasites. So that's a good example of that. Kieran's basically going to be under control. He's going to be controlled by these things, and we're going to have to stop him and battle him, and things are going to happen. So we know that about this stuff. Next up, of course, we know about all the other special content that's already been given to you if you already have the pre-order, but we also have a bunch of returning Pokemon as well as new Pokemon. We're going to start, first of all, I guess, with the brand new Pokemon we expect to see. Archaludon, already, confirmed. It's a Duraludon evolution, more or less. Raging Bolt is a brand new Paradox of Raikou. We have Iron Crown, which is also a Paradox in this case. We have Terapagos and the Terastall form of Terapagos. That's when it terrestrializes, right? Similar to how you have the mask forms of Ogerpon, right? They look really like cool and crazy, but they don't have that for every other Pokemon, so to say. But what else do we know besides these? Well, we know that Entei and Terrakion, those two should also be getting forms. It's just not included here, but we know that these are the confirmed ones so far. So we have pretty much 5 of them, plus we have 2 more that have not been confirmed, and we have that little like poison Pokemon, the little Dokutaro, that puts us at 8, right? So it's a good number. We know Perrin's going to be returning. There's actually quest text. She might have something to do with Archaludon or the evolution of the Diplin, because we also know Diplin's going to get an evolution, so that's probably 9 if you want to add that. So it's like 9 Pokemon. There's a lot to be really mentioned here. Now, of course, these 4, Lacey, Drayton, Amaris, and Crispin, they're going to be the Elite 4 members. They're going to be the guys we're going to be battling there. We're going to do like little missions with them. We've already seen one of the missions with Amaris, where we specifically fly around with Amaris. I'm not sure if it's included here. I guess not. But we do know that there's a moment where we can actually fly around with Amaris and do like a little flying, mission or whatever, which is going to unlock, I guess, like flying within the game. Again, there's some stuff like that we haven't really spoken about, or that hasn't really been shown off that well. But we basically will have something to do with all of them. Crispin, probably going to be some cooking stuff. Drayton, who knows? And then Lacey's probably could be really anything, if we're going to be frankly honest here. It could be literally anything. Nonetheless, though, let's look at all the Pokemon that are returning. So I'm going to slowly go through this list. Again, you guys can look at it yourself if you want to. We have all the starter Pokemon, right? They're all returning. So, of course, Bulbasaur and Squirtle are back. Charmander is already in the game, so that's nothing too crazy. We got Oddish, Gloom, Vileplume, the Duo, Seal, Execute, Alolan Exeggutor as well, Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, Rhyhorn, Magmar, Lapras, Chikorita, of course, generation 2 and generation 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of them are back. Blossom, Skarmory, Smeargle, Tyrogue. We got Magby, we got Trico, we got that whole line of Pokemon. Trapinch, Flygon is there, Beldum is there. We got Cranidos, we got Shieldon, Rhyperior, Magmortar, Snivy and all those. Blitzel, Cottonee, Minccino, Solosis, Golett as well. We got Esper, Meowstic, Inkay, we got Litten, Poplio. We also got Pikipek, Milcery, Duraludon, and then, of course, the last few things that are brand new down here. And here we actually have the inclusion of some of the other stuff, like Paradox Entei, Paradox, Iron Terrakion. I mean, that's what we're assuming it might be called. But, we got Paradox Entei, Paradox Terrakion. We already have these 2 confirmed. So we know that these 2 will be in there just based on some of the stuff that's being told to us by the Riddler and by the leaks we've seen. So we know these 2 will be showing up. But it doesn't end there. Like I said, we have... So what is this? Like, this is basically 7 Pokemon in here. You got those 7. You have the little Poison Lad as well. That's 8. And as well as the potential Diplin evolution, which is rumored. That's 9. So 9 Pokemon... plus whatever else that might be in there. But 9 as of right now is what we know of. We know there's 9 of them that are brand new. So 9 Pokemon, to keep that in mind. Again, this is the full list. I will be honest, it does feel a little lacking, but then again, we are getting every single starter back, which I guess is to kind of make up for things, but it will make the whole journey a little bit different, I'm not going to lie, because we are just going to have a bunch of starters, to be honest. It's not going to be as much other stuff to, to really use. That's going to be brand new. You got a few Pokemon like Pikipek and whatnot, but it's not really a lot of variety in that regard. But hey, I digress. It's cool to see them all return. I don't know if they've updated this list though. I don't think I see the Generation 8 Pokemon anywhere. I don't see like Scorbunny and stuff, because I think Scorbunny and all the Generation 8 starters are also back. Again, if I missed them in this list, then I'm sorry, but there is some Pokemon missing, as well as some Pokemon that aren't in here that have, that are going to be returning. So keep in mind, this list isn't 100% complete. There is still some stuff that's missing and that isn't included here. But let's move on to the next thing. So we've gone through all this stuff. Now we got to head over to the actual post from some of the other people that have been doing some theories. Now, I already covered this really awesome artwork here, but from Pen Paladin, of like how basically Kieran could end up being controlled by this Pokemon and how it might take him over and stuff. And basically, we have Soul Silver who also has his thoughts on that and some theories. I thought we'd go through all of this real quick and see what you guys think about this. Let's start with the first theory he has about some stuff here. Spoiler theory. I want to start this post saying that even though we've had big data mines for Scarlet and Violet DLC, there's always a possibility that not everything in the DLC is there. Game Freak does try to hide things sometimes. Ku's recent post has me perplexed. Ku says there's no correct speculation of the +1 Pokemon, that it's a purposeful Pokemon. could mean a number of things. According to Ku's riddles, and he's talking again about the Riddler here, people have assumed that the number means this: 7, which is the number of new Pokemon in DLC 1, plus 8 of new Pokemon DLC 2, plus 1 mythical. And in the same way, Ku's had another post showing the number of new forms in the DLC. 6 DLC 1 plus 1 DLC 2 plus X either means none or unknown number. These numbers have proven true so far in the Teal Mask. The problem is we don't know what the final category is. Why wouldn't he group the plus 1 with the 8 new Indigo Disc Pokemon if it's available in the Indigo Disc? Which is, yeah, it's a good point actually. The big problem is that the recent DLC data mines, only 8 new Pokemon were found confirmed for in the Indigo Disc data. So unless Game Freak specifically hid this one Pokemon, it should show up as 9 Pokemon in the data, but it doesn't. All of that to say, I can see it being one of these options. It is a mythical, but it's seen in the Indigo Disc and even important to the story, but we can catch it and it will be distributed after DLC 2 releases. This could be a crane Pokemon, as there will be huge ties to a crane with Tortoise and the tail of Arashimari Taro, which I will cover in a separate tweet. Now, I don't know if he's counting the little poison guy or not in this case. It's just a new normal or new legendary Pokemon that is seen in the Indigo Disc and even important to the story, but we can catch it and it will be distributed or put in raids after DLC 2 releases, because they did the same thing with, yeah, of course, Walking Wake and Iron Leaves, which were in raids in a few months after Scarlet and Violet actually released, but they were not in the files anywhere, right? It's just a new normal or new legendary Pokemon that is seen in the Indigo Disc and is important to the story, but we can't catch it until after we complete the story and maybe even 100% complete the entire DLC. But again, there were only 8 new Pokemon in the data mine. So this leaves us with these options, I believe, which are more likely. It's just a new normal or new legendary Pokemon that is seen in the Indigo Disc and is important to the story, but it's just a boss battle Pokemon, with like a Titan or something, that we cannot catch. It would be just like Lusamine's Nihilego or Eternamax, but for the first time, this time would be a brand new Pokemon. Maybe we'll get to catch it in a future game instead, question mark. Or maybe it's not even a boss and it's just a new Pokemon mentioned in the story and lore that we'll even see but can't catch. Something like the original dragon, but we actually see it. Maybe it's Dokutaro at its full potential. Lastly, this is my personal favorite. It's a boss battle and a Titan that is a dark version, a shadow version of Terapagos or Dokutaro, or maybe Glimora. It will be like an evil form of either of them, but instead of actually being an actual form, it would just be its own separate entity. And when we catch Terapagos, it can become this shadow Terapagos with a certain item. Of course, that sounds like a pretty cool idea, but we'll have to wait and see. And this all, again, comes from like the information we've seen from the data mines here, which, you know, tells us all the stuff that's been seen. So 8 new species of Pokemon, for example, were confirmed. But again, they could still add that in. Like, keep in mind, this information, this file, these data mines are not end-all be-all. They could still add that in afterwards. But again, I digress. Let's move on to the next post. So, one of the biggest unsolved mysteries of Scarlet and Violet is who's the main antagonist, who set up the Paradise Protocol, and who spoke to Heath in a trance. Why do they want Paradox Pokemon in our world? And all signs point to Terapagos, but Terapagos seems to be peaceful and kind. I think who's +1 new Pokemon that I explained below could be related to these burning questions. I think there could be a boss battle Titan that is a dark version, shadow version of Terapagos. It would be like an evil form, but instead of it being a literal form, it would be its own separate entity. And when we catch Terapagos, it can become this shadow Terapagos with a certain item. Or maybe we just can't catch it. I'm thinking of it like a Marvel's The Sentry versus the Void. One is a hero, the other is a villain, but there are basically 2 entities that are the same person. I don't know what would cause this antagonistic Terapagos to exist, but I'm sure it will be the world as we know it ending type of story implications. Maybe it's really just to protecting the hidden treasure of Area Zero from outsiders, since it's the guardian of the treasure. I just dropped a bottle of water, but it is what it is. This is all supported by specific things in the DLC datamon. We know of Terapagos' 2 forms right now. It's normal and Terraform. Then we see 2 more potential forms of it in the data. One of them is a true alternative form in the code, and the other is a new battle state, more like Ogerpon's masks. Of course, we talked about that bit earlier. But on top of these forms, we have 3 Titan battles, and 2 of them are almost certainly for Terapagos. We can assume one of them is a Titan Terapagos form, but we most likely won't battle a Titan normal form Terapagos, right? Question mark. Now, normal form Terapagos should even be coded in as a number 1130_00, while these forms are 1130_01 and 02, respectively. This heavily suggests that 1130_02 could be that same alternative form of Terapagos mentioned earlier. Now, I know these are all listed as forms, and Q's talking about a +1 new Pokemon, that is purposeful. It's possible that in the game's code, it could be seen as a form, but in the game's lore, it may be as a different entity that seems like a whole new Pokemon, but it still technically is Terapagos. Anyways, just a fun theory. I will be shocked if it's correct, but the potential is there. There just has to be some kind of twist or trick in this +1 Pokemon, since we haven't heard anything from the leaks, nor seen anything in the data mine about it. Again, I think it's the little purple poison boy. I think it's him. I think he's just going to be a brand new Pokemon. How he's going to function, again, could be a boss battle, could be whatever. We'll have to wait and kind of see. Again, we can talk about this again in a future video, and maybe in the live stream I might do on the channel, over on RuffledRowlit main channel. But nonetheless, that's what we had for that. So again, keep in mind what we talked about earlier, guys. November 3rd, we have the bundle releasing. This bundle, again, doesn't confirm the exact date, but it just gives us a general rule of thumb of where we should be expecting it. A week before or a week after this November 3rd. So a week before, if I look at just my my little schedule here, if it was a week before, right? If it was to release on, like they say here, the 3rd, that's a Friday. So if we go back 1 week to the Friday before that, that would land us on the 27th, which actually makes sense. Keep in mind what we read earlier, right? Keep in mind what we actually read from Kuro. Because he said the Sword and Shield bundle was actually on November 6th, and the Crown Tundra was out on the 23rd. So if we go back, and that would be, what would that be? Like 2021, I guess, is where we have to go back to. So I'm going to have to scroll back into my schedule here. I'm guessing it was 2021, right? It must have been. So if we go back to October, so the 23rd of October is when the Crown Tundra was out. That was a Saturday, according to this. So around that, like, I guess some people could have been playing it already on the Friday. That was a Saturday, and it was the other thingy released literally the next week, or not the next week, but like 2 weeks later. So if we go based on that, we could assume that this time around, it could be a similar situation, where maybe we get it 2 weeks before. So, right, if we're like, let's say, if it's supposed to release on November of this year. Sorry, I literally was looking at the wrong dates here. So that would be on a Sunday, actually, November 3rd, is if I'm not looking at this wrong. Yeah, so November 3rd is supposed to be, never mind, I keep making the same mistake here. November 3rd is supposed to be a Friday. If we go back 2 weeks, that would be exactly Friday, the 20th of October. That's when it could release, the 20th of October on the Friday, or it can release on the same day on November 3rd, or a week after. If it was a week after, then that would put us on like the 10th or the 17th of November for release. Again, nothing is confirmed, but it does add an interesting element to excitement, because now we're just waiting to see what's going to come from this. Of course, we'll have to wait and, of course, see what happens with that. Now we have 2 more things I want to talk about. First of all, I already spoke about this really awesome artwork from Pen Paladin here of what we could kind of expect this whole thing to look like. Like, what if, you know, Kieran does get taken over by this Pokemon and it's straight up evil because it already gave powers. And keep in mind, we already know Kieran is basically been taken in control by this Pokemon. It's manipulating him. We already know that. And basically what I guess we're seeing here from Sol is saying, this is how I'm hoping Dokutaro will end up ultimately looking, just without the human underneath it. Like the assets in the data and at the Peachy shop could just be a tease to what it truly looks like. This version of it, with tons of toxic chains coming out of it, makes a lot of sense. Will be cool. Art and concept are amazing here. So it would make sense as well. Keep in mind, every like iteration or art we've seen of certain Pokemon, like paradoxes, has been kind of like a lie to us. It's never been exactly what it looks like. Then eventually when we see it, it's like, oh, that's what it really looks like. Think about the Walking Wake. We had like an artwork of it in the actual game, but that artwork looked nothing like the final product. So there could be a similar thing here, that the Pichu we see in the game with the little plushie and stuff isn't what it exactly looks like, but rather just an interpretation of it, and the final form might be a bit more crazy like this. We'll have to wait and see, though. Finally, we have this little theory from Jesse Van Born, who says, hey, Soul Silverheart, I want to share with you something I found about Kieran. The first 2 pictures you took with him at the board, he stands at the side of the ogre, meaning how much he loves the ogre. But when you get the picture at the last one, he stands at the side of the Loyal 3, which is true, actually. Look at this. So on this end, he's on the left side with the ogre, and we're on the right side with the Loyal 3. Here, though, he's standing again with the ogre, went on the side of Loyal 3, and then finally here, when his eyes have dimmed, you can literally see how his eyes have lost like, look, he's got the little glimmer of white in his eyes, the hope. And then here, it's just gone. His eyes just look gone. It's like he's been taken over. He's evil now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that pretty much confirms that we have a villain story on our hand, but it's not that he's a bad guy. He's just been influenced by a Pokemon that's trying to manipulate him for whatever needs. We can assume the reason it's manipulating him is potentially that it wants to get back to its original form. To do this, it probably requires Terra powers, terrestrialization crystals, or Terra crystals, and maybe it needs him to become stronger to get those resources for the Pokemon. But as you can see right here, he clearly is not in his right state of mind. But ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much going to be it for the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you guys like these long videos. Please comment down below. Do you like these longer videos that I make? Because I've been trying to like wait and not post daily, instead making like these almost like a little podcast for you guys. Hope that's been nice though. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. I just punched my mic. See you next time. Peace out.